What's up guys? It's Thursday and today we're doing a polyphasic sleep update. So yesterday I totally messed up my days. I thought it was Tuesday, so I recorded a different video and here we are, a day late. On top of that, I just recorded this entire video and uploaded it to start editing and the sound was not there. So something was wrong. My microphone is plugged in. It has like 3 different plugs because there's an extension cord and all this crap. So something was not hooked up right. So this is my second time recording this video. Maybe it'll be my best one yet because I've practiced. Today we're going to talk about the cost of oversleep. I also want to talk about coffee naps and alcohol and how those, there may be some misconceptions there and how those can affect your sleep. So let's start with oversleep. First I want to talk about how adaptation works and kind of what the roadmap is there. So if we break it up into weeks, adaptation is 4 to 5 weeks long. Starting with the first week, typically people feel pretty good. You're not sleep deprived yet. You're not napping well typically. You might have trouble falling asleep. Even if you fall asleep, you might wake up or not get restful sleep. This can be different if you've had a history of napping, if you nap every day or something, just as part of your normal routine, and then you go to polyphasic sleeping. Your naps may be better. You may adapt quite a bit quicker. The second week, sleep deprivation starts to hit you. You start to fall asleep better during your naps, but you're not to the point where you're getting REM sleep during your naps, typically. The third week is where it really gets tough. It's where most people fail. That's where sleep deprivation is at its peak, and your body starts to respond by remapping your REM sleep to those naps, but they're not there yet. In the fourth week, your REM cycles start to hit the naps. You start to have dreams during your naps and things like that, but you're still sleep deprived, and it takes a little while to recover from that. So, that being said, if you oversleep, it's going to affect you differently based on where you are in your adaptation process. Let's talk about why I overslept. So, I had an oversleep that was an hour long in my first nap, and it was about 5 days ago. A lot of things compounded to cause this oversleep. The first thing was I started working out again, so actually tomorrow, as long as everything goes well, I'll have a fitness video come out. I was doing some push-ups, I was really sore, and just to get out of bed I had to do this weird version of the worm just to get myself off the bed. I was really hurting. On top of that, I spent about 6 hours working on my tiny home, so I had to do some insulation in the floor. So I was crawling around under the tiny home. It's pretty exhausting work. I'll talk more about that on Sunday when I do the vlog. With that, my brother-in-law was out helping me, and my nap time basically came and went. I didn't want to go have a nap in the truck while he was working on my house. So I decided to skip the nap. I knew I was going to be tired, but just have to do it. On the way home, we stopped at the gas station and I decided to get a soda and a bag of candy. So now I'm adding bad nutrition on top of that. Drank the soda, ate about half the bag of candy, and then when I got home I get a text from my dad telling me that he's been diagnosed with cancer. So shit, right? So that made for a pretty tough evening. We don't know a lot right now. It's early in the process, but that was pretty rough. So I go to bed that night. My core went fine. I wake up. My first 4 hours or 3.5 hours between my core and my first nap was okay. The only thing was, instead of eating the apple with almond butter that I normally eat, I ate the second half of my bag of candy. So now I've got this sugar high and then a crash. I go into my first nap. I wake up from my first nap fine, but because of all of this crap that's going on, I was like, well, I'm just gonna lay down for a minute. And I laid there, I drifted off, I woke back up just minutes later. Still, I didn't get the hint to get out of bed. I laid there for a while longer and I ended up falling asleep and slept for an hour before my wife woke me up, luckily. So for the next 3 to 4 days, I was back into a sleep deprived state. I was having major dips in my energy level and it was pretty rough. My wife even noticed it, and she was kind of frustrated because she's been a saint putting up with my sleep deprivation and my moodiness because of the sleep deprivation, on top of my schedule being crazy now. So she felt like we were back in, the toughest part, which I was for a few days. But I'm recovered now and I'm feeling good again. So at the stage that I'm at, I'm adapted, but I haven't been adapted very long, so I'm still vulnerable to oversleeps and the effect of that as far as my body trying to revert back to monophasic sleep. But I'm not sleep deprived anymore, so I really have no excuse to oversleep. I should be able to get up on the first alarm every single time. I have been without any trouble, but typically the reason I oversleep, or the reason I would be vulnerable to oversleep, is the same reason a monophasic sleeper would be. Not because they're sleep deprived so much as just they're human and they're fallible and they're weak. So that's me apparently, or it was 5 days ago. But came out of that, I'm back to feeling great. I wanted to share that lesson with you guys so that you have an idea of what that oversleep can do. I want to point out the difference between missing a nap and oversleep. So missing a nap is going to make you sleep deprived. It's going to make you sleepy, but it's not going to set back your adaptation. Whereas oversleep is telling your body, oh, okay, this schedule isn't rigid, it's negotiable. So then your body tries to negotiate with you to go back to what it's used to, what you've been doing your entire life. So really avoid those oversleeps. And I want to qualify that an oversleep is anytime you sleep outside of your normal sleep schedule. So if you miss a nap, don't take a nap 20 or 30 minutes later, unless you're adapted and you've been adapted for a while. Because that's going to tell your body, oh, okay, it's negotiable, let's negotiate. And it's going to try to push your REM sleep back into your standard monophasic sleep schedule. So really avoid that. And if you miss a nap, just suck it up and be tired for a day. It's better than what an oversleep can do to you. So that's all I want to say about that. Let's talk about coffee naps. So this is a thing that I've seen a couple articles on where people are under the impression that if you drink coffee, the caffeine hits you 30 minutes later. What they do is they chug coffee and then they go down for a nap. And they figure, well, right around when I need to wake up, that coffee is going to be hitting me, it's going to make it easier to wake up. And that might be true, but there's a misunderstanding of how caffeine works in your body. So first off, the caffeine starts to get into your bloodstream just moments after the coffee hits your lips, because caffeine can be absorbed through the skin and the tissues of your body. So it's absorbed through your mouth, through your esophagus, through your stomach. All of those places in your body can absorb the caffeine. So you're not caffeine free for 30 minutes after drinking a cup of coffee. It's in your system right away. So during that nap, it has the potential to affect you. Also, the half-life of caffeine in the human body is 5 to 6 hours. The typical gap between two naps on a polyphasic sleep schedule is 4 to 6 hours. So we're talking about 60% of the caffeine from that cup of coffee you drank before your last nap is still going to be in your system when you take your next nap. It's not like all that caffeine is getting metabolized out of your system and then your next nap comes up, you chug another cup of coffee, go down for a nap, wake up, and you feel great. That's not how it's going to work, because that caffeine's still in your system. That being said, if it works for you, that's fine. I wouldn't recommend it during your adaptation phase, because it could really mess up your quality of sleep. And that's something that you may not even realize immediately after that nap. It could build over time and you won't realize that it's because you're drinking this coffee right before your naps. So I strongly recommend not to do that during your adaptation phase. So let's talk about alcohol. I enjoy a glass of wine or a beer every now and then. I'm a home brewer, so I have craft beer that I've made around the house, so it's a constant temptation. And I like to have a beer when I get home from work sometimes. That being said, alcohol is a depressant and it can really affect those energy dips that you're feeling during your adaptation. So about a week ago, I went out and had some drinks. I wasn't drunk, but I was tipsy and I ended up really paying for it the next day. So I don't think that it set back my adaptation so much as it just made me feel like crap for a day, and that really made it not worth it. So I would definitely avoid heavy drinking during adaptation. If you want to have a beer or a glass of wine, I think that's fine, but typically what I do is I try to have it as close after a nap as possible to maximize the amount of time for my body to metabolize the alcohol before I sleep again, so that it doesn't affect the quality of sleep, and it doesn't affect my restfulness later. So if I'm gonna have a beer after work, typically I'll try to have it right when I get home so that I have 3 or 4 hours for my body to process that and for me to drink enough water to offset the diuretic effects of alcohol, so I'm not dehydrated, because that can also affect your sleepiness. So there are a lot of things to consider there. If you're going to drink alcohol, try to have it as early as possible after a nap so that you maximize that recovery time. And that's really all I want to say about that. If you have any questions or ideas, put them in the comments down below and let's talk about it. I appreciate you watching this video. If you liked this video, hit the like button. If you're new around here, hit the subscribe button. I post a video every week about polyphasic sleeping, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.